My perspective on the situation is that it's not necessarily a good thing, but it's kind of a necessary evil, unfortunately. I do believe there can be a lot of cut down on what's currently being used. I know at least a lot of my friends don't necessarily eat like the cookie or the bread that they put on the side, which is wrapped in paper, sometimes plastic. But, instead of just assuming that people want all the odds and ends of things to, ask instead.
Hello, my name is Jason, and my perspective on the situation is that I find it really sad that we are the world's premier culinary college and we're wasting a lot of plastic and we're really harming the planet. And despite it, yes, being a pandemic and all that, we still need to make sure that we're caring for the planet as well as ourselves.
Hi, my name is Jason, and my perspective on the plastic usage in the egg is that I think we're using way too much plastic right now. I think we can move back to the plates, using the plates and all that, plates and utensils, just because it'd be more sustainable. I know, we really would not be using as much plastic here on campus. Honestly, it's kind of shocking that 3 of my meals every single day comes in a plastic container, and I know it doesn't help the students who are in the back to plate on plastic containers instead of a regular plate. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel about the plastic situation.
Question 1. Why don't you use bowls and plates anymore when dining in?
We technically could serve food on a plate,
Okay.
but for a bunch of reasons, it was decided not to go that route.
Okay.
So the state guidelines have a lot to do with distancing, amount of or percentage of seating capacity that you're allowed to fill in any indoor facility. And then there's a lot of suggestions and guidelines on social distancing and what early on, as we got ready to reopen, the main concern was obviously safety.
Mm-hmm.
And in feeding high volume of customers, our concern had to do with speed of service, because most of the time, or at least one of your meals a day, you're probably dining and having to get back to class.
Mm-hmm.
And the logistics of that flow, we don't have the ability to necessarily schedule when somebody's going to come and eat.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to prepare for large groups at certain times and slower volume of guests at other times. Mm-hmm. So planning, and this goes back to Roth Hall also, for dining for everywhere would be in a disposable container so that the guests, you guys, had the flexibility of dining on location or leaving, eating outside, going back to your dorm room, doing whatever you felt most comfortable with.
Okay.
And that was one of the factors in not introducing plateware, at least at the start.
Okay.
The other that you've been to the egg, so you the flow starts at the front door, goes through the cashier and into your seating area, and then a separate exit. So there's not a lot of lines. We were very concerned that the little dish room at the egg could potentially clustering. You've been there, you know what it would be like.
Yeah.
And if they were the tray, you would have people lined up, and that was a big, big concern.
Question 2. Why not ask if we need utensils when giving us our meal?
Well, you actually bring up a good point, though, because we have a lot of students who, no, I have utensils. No, especially in the marketplace. In the marketplace, it's a little relaxed, and I have sort of a set staff. And the first question they'll ask when they see that you're taking a prepared food item is, would you like silverware? So that's cut down actually quite a bit on the amount of packets that I know a lot of students will also, like we're doing a soup and grilled cheese sandwich now. And in dealing students and staff and working a station, the one thing we didn't want to happen is that you would get your food and trek all the way across campus and then get back to your room and not have a knife, fork, and spoon to eat dinner with.
Yeah.
So that was a concern at the beginning. But most students right now are being very proactive, and the attendant at whatever station they go to, they'll say, "Oh, I don't need silverware." We're still training everybody to do it automatically, because you want it to be quick and fast, and they put the water down on the tray, add the dessert, put the silverware, and you're ready through. It's very challenging. But this is really good. We've had feedback from a number of students about certain things, and the silver came up, and that's where we started asking in the market, to make sure that they requested or confirmed they want it.
Question 3. What factors drove the school to choosing its current disposable containers?
These containers were chosen because the food could be held and reheated in a microwave. That was a big decision. Also, it gave enough room to at least attempt some of the plating competencies that are important in the different classes and the different production kitchens. Another big factor is choosing a brand and finding a supplier going to be able to consistently deliver the product. As you can imagine, every college campus across the country is now using disposable containers, almost everywhere.
Question 4. Why does the school now provide a bottle of water with each meal?
Flow and clusters and, avoid all of that, which was and is a huge concern. We didn't, you can imagine, along with, we used to have like the Aqua Fresca container, the ag before. We had the beverage station up in Roth Hall, right?
Yes.
At Markison. Those areas would have been incredibly crowded, lots of clutter, really unsanitary with the amount of people touching the handles and scooping ice, and so that was, from the beginning, that wasn't gonna work. That wasn't gonna work for a bunch of reasons. But at the same time, everybody obviously still had to have a beverage, and so the safest short-term solution was to identify a way of getting everybody something to drink.
So I think that mostly just asking, like if we need silverware, if we want this in a bag, if we want like the extra thing in a different container than our main food, would be helpful, because 9 times out of 10 I don't want everything that they're giving me. I just want like the main dish, and then I don't need silverware because I'll bring it back to my room, or I have silverware that I can wash. So I just think that's a big thing, is just asking.
Some advice I would have for, reducing waste and cutting down on plastic would be, we originally used greenware, and I understand that it's more expensive and we have to partner with a disposal company that, composts it correctly. But personally, considering how much we're already spending on the plastic that we're using and, waste removal, I personally think it's most definitely worth it, especially when it comes to the, the impact on the environment. I also think, I kind of said before about asking people if they want a bag or, the cookie instead of just assuming and doing it right away. I think that would definitely cut down on a lot of unused and unneeded plastic and paper waste.
Right now, I feel like, other than the egg, I feel like they should open up the gym and set up tables there so people can have more options to dine in, and instead of having all the foods to go. That way, even though it doesn't help a lot, it still helps at least, I would say 25%, which is significantly quite a big number.